All right, so welcome to the first debugging session, and what we are going to cover in today's episode is the following: how to save 80% of waiting time for developers and analyze the code even without knowing coding. So that's the subtitle I have created based on the calls that I had with you, and that's based on what you are requiring to learn the most, at least in the beginning. So if you haven't done so, just make sure that you also schedule the onboarding call. It's going to help me to better understand what you are up to and to better understand how can I really help you and personalize the experience for you in this community. All right, so the way how you can get to this document is the following. If I scroll down, here is the link. So you type in abapacademy.com/school-debugger. Okay, if you hit the enter, you will be redirected to this document, and here is going to be the password. Let me just make it bigger for you. So password is I will invite my friend here. So everything is in lowercase with spaces, and the reason why I have chosen this password is because why to keep it for yourself if somebody from your friends can benefit from this. So feel free to share this community access with your friends, and let's start. So let's start. Why debugger? So kind of like in a nutshell, reason why is because majority of you are new to programming, new to debugging. So that's why we will start this way. A reason why you want that is because you want to become independent from developers, be faster in your daily work, and make your position competitive among other SAP consultants on the market. So that's going to be my aim, to help you to get there. And let's face it, it's going to take some time, some months to get there, especially in the speed that we are going to have here in the community. But if you are not in a hurry, that's the way how I can help you. So we will start with the first session, which is called How to Start Debugger. I've chosen the subtitle, How to Start Debugger as close to the problem as possible to minimize analysis time. Because many of you already know how to start a debugger, probably /h or creating a breakpoint, or you have maybe other things or other ways how you can get to debug mode. I have created here a short story of one of my past clients who already had a certification from SAP debugging, from ABAP debugging. However, the point of debugging is not to know what are all the windows in a debug mode or how to navigate inside of the debug mode. The main thing inside of debugger is to understand what developers are doing, because you are reading an existing program. And if you don't understand existing program, it's really hard to do any debugging. So the main thing when you start debugger is to get as close as possible to the place that you are looking for, because that's going to help you to speed up. That's going to help you minimize amount of analysis time. You need to ask yourself, do you know where is the problem? And there are three possible answers. No, I don't know, not at all. Like I don't have any clue like where the problem is. Or yes, I know exactly where the problem is, so that you can jump straight to that place of the code and do that debugging right from that place. Or something in between, okay? So today we will focus on these two things, which are most straightforward. No, I don't know like at all like where the problem is. And yes, I know where is the place. And this middle part is going to be the part of the next episode, which is going to help you get to as close to the place where you need as possible, even without knowing programming. So I will share with that later. We will start with the most obvious one. Okay, so if you don't know where to start a debugging, here is the first thing that you can do. Okay, so you just start a debugger right away from the beginning. Okay, so I just prepared a quick scenario so that I can share that with you. On the right side here is ABAP editor SE38. If you go to SE38 and you know the program name and you want to get to debug mode, you just click this button, debugging button, and you just get directly to the debugger right away. Okay, so you just need to wait for a few moments, and I will move the window, debugging window right here. So actually what happens if you don't know where to start in the debug mode, you just start somewhere. So usually you start in the beginning, and then you start exploring like what happens and so on. That's the worst case scenario, I must say. Like if you don't know, then you don't know, and you somehow have to start somewhere. Okay, so you just start right away and just explore from this point. The reason why I'm showing this scenario is because later on we will also use this option to do additional checks or additional setup inside of the debug mode before you start digging deeper, or it's going to also help us to find as close place as possible to the thing that we are looking for. Okay, so for now, as I said, that's the worst case scenario. And if you don't know any about programming, that's going to be really tough for you to get into the debug mode. Okay, but for some of you who already know some level of ABAP, that can be helpful. That there are some potential other ways to get to debug mode, just by thinking, okay, like what gets me as close as possible to the place which I'm looking for. Okay, so what I will do right now, I will press F8 to execute the rest of the program, just to process the program. I will press F3 to go away from the output. Later on, I will explain you this program that I have specifically prepared for you, so that I can explain you more things in a debug mode, so you can start better understanding like how to navigate inside. Okay, here is the thing. Sometimes you don't know what's the program name. So usually you as a functional consultant, you are going to get a transaction code which you need to debug, and somewhere inside of the transaction there is a problem. So I have created a quick step-by-step guide how to get a program name from a transaction code. So actually option number 1 is you go to transaction you need to debug, in example SE16, and you click on a small arrow located in status bar of SAP GUI window, this one. Okay, and then click on the arrow and look for the program name. So right here you will find a program name that you can debug. Okay, so like this. So that's the thing that you can, that's the way how you can get the program name. Or there is option number 2. You go to transaction SE93 which is called maintain transaction. You type in there the transaction code you are looking for, in example SX16 from the example above, and hit display. If you hit display, you will find the program name right here in the program name. Okay, so that's the way how you get the program name, so that you can type it in to the SE38. Okay, all right. So that's when you don't know. If you know exact place where the problem is, you create something that we call a session breakpoint, which is in a hashtag B. Okay, so if I will move down here, like about how to create a session breakpoint, here is how it works. You go to source code and set up a breakpoint at a specific line of the code. Okay, so let's say in this case, I am in SE38. I hit display so that I want to display a source code. And somewhere, let's say right here on line 28, I click, do the left click and create a session breakpoint. Okay, that's actually the way when you know that somewhere inside of here potentially is a problem. Okay, and now when you press F8 or execute this program, what happens is that you open up a debugger window on this specific place. Okay, so debugger opens up on this breakpoint. So what happens in reality, your program starts to execute and stop here, right here on this place. And from this place, you can start analyzing the program, whatever you need to analyze. Okay, for now, we just want to execute the rest of the program, F8, so that, yeah, because next time we will focus on the navigation inside of the debugger. Okay, so that's one thing. There's one way when you know that problem is somewhere inside of the code, specifically in specific part of the code, or if you know exact place, there is one other way to create a breakpoint, and it's called hard-coded breakpoint. The way how it works is that, let's say you get to, it's usually used by developers or you as a consultant who is already techno-functional, and if you will have access to the editor, to ABAP editor, where you can change existing program, and let's say you are testing the program or you are still in the middle of the implementation of doing the change request or whatever. So if you are in the edit mode, what you can do is to type in breakpoint period, and if you activate the code, okay, I will store it to it right here. If you activate the code and remove the original session breakpoint and you execute the code, F8, then you again open up a debugger window exactly on the statement called breakpoint. Okay, this is used only for purposes of doing any development or while doing development. You never leave this statement inside of the code when your code goes to production. Okay, so that you don't want to stop your user in the debug mode. Like, that's not going to be helpful for them, and they are going to raise a ticket and get back to you. Okay, that something is going on, you need to fix that. Okay, so these are the two ways on how to get to debug mode. In the next session, we will focus on this part in the middle. We will start with something that is going to help you get to debug mode as close as possible to the place where you need to get, even without knowing the programming. Have a nice day.